situation?
At the time, I didn't think about it. Now I think that it was made money. My father did work extremely hard for his money. He was a very well-known surgeon, and I do think that if somebody makes money, that they should be allowed to spend it.
But what are the things that you think about you that, yeah, I became this because of this?
I think that, I mean, it's very, very curious to me that when the sort of drink really took me away from my career as a lawyer.
Maybe we should explain that you were a lawyer from a very young age, from 21?
I was called to the bar at 21, and I was very good at being a lawyer. I mean, alcoholics make very good lawyers because you wear funny clothes and you stand up and you're rude to people and you get paid for it. That's why there's so many of us at it, you know. But then the drink took me away, and I had a lot of money, and I went off around the world.
At that point, did you ever sort of think there's going to be a time when this comes to an end? And then did you have a time when other people looked down on you, when people of your social class sort of went, oh, she's just a drunk? Or do you always belong?
No. If you step outside the rules, if you step outside the mores, wherever you belong.
You see, I've never seen the upper class having any rules. And I don't think I would if I was, you know, multi-millionaire. I don't think I would care what people thought. I think that's the shame in many ways about the upper class, is that because they don't have anyone to answer to, they just piss us around a lot.
I think you're muddling up the upper classes with the aristocrats.
Right.
I mean, no, aristocrats don't have any rules, but professional classes, upper classes, I think they do have rules. You step outside them, and certainly, I mean, by this time I was a chosen member of the professional classes. I was a barrister. And they didn't like somebody sort of turning up, saying, passing out on the sofa, throwing up all over the spare room and things like that.
I don't think it's a great story, but it's not the biggest loss of memory you had.
No, I don't remember the Falklands War. That was, I think, my biggest...
What were you doing at the time?
Well, the man I lived with had just died, so I'd gone on this monumental bender, you see. He died the day the war broke out, so, I mean, you know, it's the sort of Irish waking tradition, you know, so I went to the funeral and then kept on going. And some months later, I was standing in the rain under an umbrella, and there was this military parade going past. And I turned to this young man who was standing next to me, and I said, what is this parade? And he said, it's the Falklands Parade. I looked at him in total blankness and said, did something happen in the Falklands? And he fled. I mean, wouldn't you? This great red-faced woman under an umbrella, did something happen in the Falklands? But, I mean, it was quite bizarre. When I was sober, a friend of mine gave me a book on the early 80s. And I sat down and I read it. I got sober in 1987.
What's this Live Aid?
Live Aid? The Pope was shot? I'm a Catholic.
So do you think it was good for you that you got drunk for 12 years?
Yeah.
Do you think the end result was probably a better thing? Because I think people should work. You know, I'm a very strong worker, and I think people should do, if they're going to earn some money, then they should work hard for that.
I agree with you. I couldn't agree more. Yes, I think I'm a much better person for it, and I think that, yeah, I do work very hard, but I've always worked very hard. But I do think that people should work for their money.
You see, it's not that. The class system isn't about money
about
generally.
200 years down the line.
Yeah, because you know, there are gentry. I'm sure that I've got more money than, and I'm sure I've got a better education. You know, of course, there are dribbling dimwits amongst the gentry. But it's the fact.
And the working class.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm not saying anything but that. But it's just the fact that a certain tone of voice will denote intelligence in our society, even today.
No, it will denote obedience. And that's the very interesting thing. I remember when I was really down and out and sort of sleeping on Victoria Station, and a police officer came and tried to move me along, I would say, and what do you think you're doing, officer? You could see it. Immediately, which just means everyone should have elocution lessons.
I'm wiping vomit off my dress.
That's the one.
Clarissa, it's been a great pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on.
Clarissa Dickson-Wright, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, I've spoken a lot about a classless society in this show, but the chances are that will never happen. People are different, and like-minded people tend to form social groups, which create stereotypes. So if we had a classless society, we'd lose all those stereotypes, and that'd probably be a good thing. But we'd also lose some unique idiosyncrasies that make up Britain. If we lost the working class, we'd lose, for example, salad cream. It's not just other classes. No one else in the world would even think of using salad cream as a food product, especially not on salad. It's only ever intended to clean off the scurf ring around the bath. Much more importantly, if we had no working class, think of the effects on the greeting card industry. The working class are obsessed with cards. You name an occasion, they'll send you a card for it. And working class greeting cards fall into two main groupings. They're either pre-war sentimentality or jokey pornography. So for your birthday, you would get a nostalgic card, usually something like that, a drawing of a sporting hero from the first half of the century, you know, Roger Bannister breasting the tape, Sterling Moss screeching around a hairpin bend, healthy teenage boy struggling to land a marlin. Quick note to my parents, I'm 32. I'll never be a falconer. And there's always a touching poem that helps your parents express their feelings. I've never actually known my parents to have a love of poetry, but on my special day, it's all thine and twixt and dost and gadzooks and stuff. So it's something like this. To our darling son, the gods in their munificence said, these children truly are loved. That is why they bestowed on we, our son, our own epiphany. Don't get too arseholed, love mum and dad. For the times in your life when you've actually achieved something, new house, birth of a child, hung jury, that's when fun time begins. You get a card with a barmaid on the front saying, congratulations on your new home, I've sent you a pair of knockers. And you open it up, there's a pair of door knockers. Oh, Jesus, it's funny. But that's the sophisticated end of the dirty card market. Congratulations on your new job. Here's a photo of a bird with sand on her arse. Or for the ladies, a policeman with no pants on holding a truncheon with the caption, I bet you'd like to see his cock. So without no working class, we'd lose these things. The middle class love to reveal wood. Nothing gives them greater pleasure than stripping paint and wallpaper to reveal some timber that had been covered up by some evil decorating woodophobe. The middle class ambition in life is to surround themselves in as much bare wood as possible. They're amazed by the miracle of nude wood. That's it. Can you imagine? Imagine someone painted over this beam. Can you imagine? Some idiot put paint on wood. So if we lost the middle classes, we'd have a lot more painted wood. And then where would we be? If we lost the upper classes, how terrible. How terrible those consequences. First of all, we'd drop straight out of the world's top 10 ballooning nations. The top hat industry, gone. And I'm not even going to scare you with the disastrous effects on the ear trumpet business, but mainly, we'd lose the monarchy. Now, a lot of people say we should keep the Queen because she's good for British industry, because the Germans, obviously, they've really suffered by not having a Queen. They have a terribly weak economy. And you see, the problem with the Germans is they've got no one to turn to. They don't know, they've got no one that knows about industry. If the German engineers are designing like a new fuel pump and they come to a dead end, that's it, they just give up. It's a dead end. Whereas if our engineers are designing a new fuel pump, dead end, straight on the phone to Liz, she's in like Flint, down on the shop floor. She's down there, giving out the orders. Well, the problem you got there, blind man will tell you, you've got your main valve proud of the O-ring. What are you doing? Soppy bollocks, your outlet pipe, you want another 8 mil on that, that'll cloak up your cylinders. You're working on 8 ohms, that lead needs to be 10. What is the matter with you, tossy boy? And when she goes on world tours, you know, we've all seen her meeting dignitaries from every country, she is the best saleswoman this country's ever had. We've all seen her meeting sheikhs and kings, and we see her shake hands, bending forward and have a little chit-chat. She's selling Britain. She's actually leaning forward and saying, do you want any bridges? Do you want a bridge? I can do a bridge. Cheap. You want a cheap bridge? Cheap bridge, pipeline, oil refinery, damn beautiful pipeline, lovely. Do you want any guns? Guns, got guns. 100 bullets a minute, killed, dead, instantly. What are you after? I don't get your stuff, I know people. So obviously, we should keep the Queen. But the biggest debate, it's really strange to me, involving the monarchy, is not whether we keep them, but will Prince Charles make a good king? Well, let's look at the facts. He's been in training to be king for 50 years. Not a bad start. He's first in line to the throne. Looking good. It's a family business. He's had the best education money can buy. And more importantly, you don't have to do anything when you're king. So yeah, I think he'll be all right. But I'm not saying I like him, you know, personally. I think he's a half-wit, but I'm glad he's going to be king. It puts him out of harm's way. Can't really damage there, can it? I don't even in real life. You wouldn't want him running a laundrette, or your t-shirts would come back pink, and you'd find a big old women's bras in your service wash. And every time you went in, kids would be locking him in the dryers. You don't want that from a king. The Daz Challenge would be opening the box. So I'm glad. I'm glad he's not in a position of authority. But every now and again, he feels the need to spout off about cultural issues. He's always giving it the big one about the decline of our mother tongue. A couple of years ago, Prince Charles launched, I can only describe it as a blistering attack on the erosion of the English language. And what he said was, if Hamlet's soliloquy you know, to be or not to be, slings and arrows, blah, 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 my blue in the mind. If that were written today, it would go like this. It would go, well, frankly, the problem as I see it at this moment in time is whether I should just lie down under all this hassle and let them walk all over me, or do myself in. Who's a clever little Dauphin then, pointing out how we all don't never walk right talk nor proper nor never we don't your grace. But there are a few minor flaws in the argument. First of all, Hamlet was written by Shakespeare, the greatest playwright the world has ever known. Shakespeare didn't overhear it at a bus stop. He spent months slaving over the precise wording. That's why people like plays. They're normally better than just idle banter. Otherwise, you just go to the theatre and it'd be potluck. What would happen to be talking about at a time? This is what we're paying 15 quid. There's just an actor moaning about the fan belt on his Allegro. What was the play about? Oh, you know, just chit-chat like normal. Secondly, Hamlet was a prince. Chances are, when he was speaking, he'd make an effort. You can't expect us to speak like a 17th century Danish prince. I've got to live my life. I don't know how a 17th century Danish prince would order a baked potato. Thirdly, the reason for this particular speech is that Hamlet was in a unique moral dilemma. His uncle had murdered his dad, the king, so he could become the king, and then he married Hamlet's mother, who was queen. His dad, the dead king, is now a ghost who keeps appearing to him, suggesting he seeks revenge. So should he kill his stepdad, upset mum and become king, or should he kill himself and escape the confusion? Which is not something you experience in everyday life. In fact, it's a subject yet to be covered by Kilroy. So I think Prince Charles is expecting too much from us, to speak like a 17th century Danish prince with a moral dilemma written by the finest writer of all time. That ain't gonna happen. So to end the show, I'm going to find out how Prince Charles's own words would be spoken today by a couple of his ordinary subjects. Here's a couple of my mates, Dave and Kevin, and they're going to read Prince Charles's exact words in their normal 20th century voices. And the speech I've chosen is one of his best known, but very rarely performed. It's known as the Camillagate tapes. To set the scene, in case you don't know, it's an unguarded telephone conversation between the Prince and his close friend Camilla Parker Bowles. Kevin is playing the Prince, and Dave will be playing Miss Parker Bowles.
I can't bear a Sunday night without you.
Oh, God.
It's like that programme Start the Week. I can't start the week without you.
Oh, fill up your tank.
Yes, you do.
What about me? Trouble is, I need you several times a week.
So do I. I need you all the week, all the time.
Oh, God. I'll just live inside your trousers or something. It will be much easier.
What are you going to turn into? A pair of knickers?
Oh, God forbid a Tampax. Just my luck.
You're a complete idiot. What a wonderful idea. Oh, darling, I do love you, and I'm so proud of you.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. You suffer all these indignities and tortures and calumnies.
Oh, darling, don't be silly. I'd suffer anything for you. That's love. It's the strength of love. Night, night.
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 Love you forever.
Night.
Goodbye, my darling.
Night.
Night, night.
Night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Going.
Going.
Gone.
Night.
Bye. Press the button.
Going to press the tit.
All right, darling. I wish you were pressing mine.
Oh, God, I wish I was harder and harder.
Love you. Press the tit.
Adore you. Night.
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 Good night, my darling. I love you.
So what have we learned about class as we leave the 20th century? I'd like to say, as our leader Tony Blair did, that we've created a system where there are ladders of opportunity for those from all backgrounds. I'd like to say, as John Major did, that people can rise to whatever level from whatever level they started. I'd like to say that, but I can't, because I'm not a deaf, blind, ignorant dimwit stumbling through the world, not noticing anything at all, oblivious to the most obvious facts that are coming into my head every single day. But there is hope. An anagram of Marcus is Quimas. That sounds so posh now, does it? The Quimas of Kent. So we've learned nothing. I wouldn't want to be king anyway. You've got to wear all that jewellery and crowns and finery. And it's going to be a lot of pressure because there's only room for one king. There's only room for one do-gooding, jewellery-wearing, pontificating, out-of-touch eccentric. And that's why this country's so fond of Jimmy Savile. Now then. Sleep tight.